Are you thinking about selling your house and you're weighing those options, looking for that formula leading to a good financial return for the least amount of hassle on your part? Aren't we all? Today's video is about some of the pros and cons of listing your home as is. Listing a house to be sold as is does not necessarily mean that the house is in bad shape. Selling a house as is simply means that you are selling it in its current state with the understanding that you will make no repairs and the house will convey to the buyer with all of its present faults and issues. As a seller, you may have different reasons for wanting to list your property as is, including not having cash on hand for expected and unexpected repairs, and or not having enough equity in the house to pay for those repairs upon closing if you are lucky enough to find a service person who will accept delayed payment. Not having in-depth knowledge of the property and what its issues are. For instance, often estate properties are sold as is, and the person or people in charge of the estate don't want the responsibility of managing repairs from afar or paying for them. What about you no longer live in the area and you just don't want the trouble of managing those repairs when you can't oversee the work? You just want to sell it and be done. Or you simply don't want to bother with it. For instance, maybe you are in the lucky position of selling a property in such a desirable location that you know buyers will fight each other for the chance to buy your lovely house. Or you're selling in such a strong seller's market when sellers get to set all the rules and buyers just don't have leverage. Selling a house as is not your get out of jail free card for sellers. As a seller, in most states, you are still obligated to disclose any current known problems. We call those material defects. And in some states, you're also obligated to disclose any past known problems and what you did about them. There are some exceptions to this disclosure requirement, at least here in Iowa, where I practice real estate. 1, the property contains no dwelling or more than 4 dwelling units. 2, the sale is part of a court order. 3, the transfer is by a mortgagor or a mortgagee incident to a foreclosure or deed in lieu of foreclosure. 4, a transfer made from an estate, conservatorship, or trust. 5, a transfer between joint tenants or tenants in common. 6, a transfer to a spouse or a lineal descendant of the transferor. 7, a transfer between spouses as a result of a dissolution of marriage or a legal separation. 8, a transfer to or from a governmental body. 9, a transfer by a quitclaim deed. Or 10, a transfer by a power of attorney. Let me make one quick but important disclaimer here. The practice of real estate varies a lot between states and sometimes even varies between markets in the same state. If you have specific questions, you should always consult with a licensed realtor in your area or an attorney in your state who specializes in real estate law. Another important factor to consider is that just because you list your house to be sold in as-is condition doesn't mean that your buyers won't want to do inspections for their own informational purposes. Depending upon the level of buyer interest in your house, you might have enough offers that you can just choose one that completely waives inspections. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? However, there is no guarantee that you'll be flush with offers, and you might find yourself in the position of needing to accept one in which the buyer does plan to do inspections for informational purposes only, meaning that buyer will have inspections done, and then based upon what they learn, they will decide to either move forward with the purchase or not. Again, the rules of the game will vary depending upon your state and your market. But here in Iowa, if a buyer makes an as-is offer and then they decide as a result of those inspections that the house is unacceptable to them, they can terminate the purchase contract with full refund of their earnest money and you're back to square one with your house on the market. Could you attempt to hold the deal together by lowering the agreed upon purchase price or agreeing to remedy something even though you originally said you wouldn't? Maybe. Should you? Well, that depends, and it will be unique to each situation. Go talk to your realtor. What does listing your house as is do to the marketability and the value of your property? Speaking in general terms, homes that are sold as is tend to have lower price points, but I have seen lots of instances where well-kept homes are being sold as is, and their listing price is well within what I would expect a selling price to be for just a regular listing. If your house is in overall good shape, but you still want to sell it as is, I would definitely suggest offering extensive documentation about what you've done in terms of repairs and regular maintenance, and possibly even having your home inspected pre-listing by a home inspector and sharing that report with your buyers to help alleviate any concerns they may have. That's really going to make them back off that general assumption that the public has about as-is homes, that there's something wrong with them. If the house does have significant issues, you may want to market it to investors or flippers only, maybe even go as far as only accepting cash offers so as to not have that transaction go sideways when an appraiser calls out an obvious problem that must be fixed for the buyer's financing to be approved. When selling a house as is, it is important to be realistic about your listing price. In most cases, you are not going to be listing your house for a premium price. The best case scenario is usually when you have several interested buyers and the competition between them pushes up the price. But, my friends, in order for that to happen with most as-is properties, you as a seller need to be solidly grounded in reality about the market value of your house in its current condition. What are your thoughts and experiences with as-is properties, either selling them or buying them? Let me know down in the comments section. Do you want a copy of my free home seller's guide? You can grab the link to the free download in that description box down below this video. Hey, it's been fun, and I'll catch you on the next one.